Alright, take number 3 here. Having some problems getting everything synced up. I started the video and had the volume on the module turned down to about half. Okay, I got the module on the volume on the module cranked all the way up here. This is the FMS Stuka that I bought a few years ago when nitroplanes had it under the airfield name, and I have modified in Andrew's Mr.RCSounds version 4 with 2 speakers into this little airplane. It was quite a challenge to mount everything up in this little small skinny fuselage, but I wanted to give you a quick sound demo of it here and let you hear it. I have the diameter bend selected on this one, and I have a machine gun output on it, and I plugged in the landing light to the light output because it's all I've got right now to kind of give you a visual of what it looks like on the machine gun sound. Doesn't work for the cannon sound, and I don't even have that hooked up. And the dive siren, I'm having some problems with the settings on my radio getting it to activate. I'm still monkeying with that. It's going to be a little bit more challenging than I thought. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video, let you hear what it sounds like. Anyway, the Stuka with the version 4 Mr.RCSounds in it, and with 2 speakers. The spin down and startup sequence works real well with this ESC and this motor. This has the stock older 500 kV motor in it, which is plenty fine for flying it. This is actually one of my favorite flying airplanes. The Stuka flies so nice. With the 2 speakers set up in it, it did make it just a tad, and I do mean just a tad, on the tail heavy side, so I had to add a ½ ounce of lead weight up in the nose. Because of the further aft speaker they're mounted in the fuselage. I'll unstrap it here in a minute and take this camera off and do your walk around, kind of give you a quick overview instead of a bunch of snap pictures. But wanted you to hear it and see what it sounds like at full volume on 2 speakers. She's going to sound good in the air, and hopefully springs around the corner. We're going to get some flight demo and hear what it sounds like there. One more time. Spins around real awesome, and then here's the machine gun sounds, and watch the landing light on the wing. Now eventually I'm going to have LEDs mounted in the cannons right here. Can't put the other one on because this is in the way right now. And the dive siren on it, when I drop the bomb, it activates the dive siren off here. So let me take this camera off here real quick, and we'll walk over here and take a look at what's underneath the hood. See if I can keep it in focus and hold everything at the same time. Okay. This plane is a real challenge to get everything in. As you can see, there's the Mr.RCSound unit, and I've got 2 of the hookups and the LED hooked up here. It is a tight fit. The Mr.RC card is exactly the width of this fuselage right here. Right now it's just sitting in there loose, even though I've got Velcro on it, and all the wiring is up underneath of it. She gets just a tad bit, I won't even say hot, it's just warm. There's not a lot of airflow going down through this fuselage because everything seems to get pretty blocked off. Now that we've got it a little more busier with the sound module in it, which is the only thing I've added, but this has actually always been there. I have a 4S 3300 in here. 4000 is about as big as you can fit which is what I want to put in here. Haven't done too many mods to it, but if you'll notice on the air scoops here, let me zoom in on them. I did take a hot needle, screwdriver actually, and melted those, which opens up into the battery compartment right in here. One here, one on the other side. Right here, these are facing aft, so they're going to allow some air to get out, but I also feel that it's necessary. This guy right here is normally solid. I opened it all up and it goes directly into the battery. You can't see in there, but anyway, that shoots air down to the battery because this thing doesn't have a big air intake. Now then, on the bottom, which it used to get air from, I have a speaker mounted right there. The front speaker is mounted in the chin scoop. Mounted right there. Now that is actually Andrew's plastic case, but I've cut it in half. So it's only the front part to keep air from flowing against the speaker fabric on the inside and the cone and restricting the noise. It acts as a deflector, and then I painted it black to match. Air can go around it, but it does block off a little bit of the airflow that normally this was the primary intake for airflow for blowing up in the battery. But the battery itself blocks off pretty much the fuselage itself just because of its size in order to get airflow back up and over here. I'm not too concerned about it because this is not a real power jumpy plane. It's just a little 500 kV motor on a 65 amp ESC. But anyway, this thing, when it's at full power, powering two speakers, does get a little warm. I could put my hand over it, feel just some slight warmth coming off of it, but nothing hot to the touch or anything to worry about at all. The only air exit cooling is natural FMS hole here on the bottom, and as you'll see right there is the second speaker mounted right behind the fuselage right here. I couldn't put it in the wing right here because I had this bomb drop, which this would be another optimum place to put it if you're going to mount a speaker. It's just that I already had this bomb drop in here, so I couldn't put it there, and I didn't want to relocate it. So anyway, I have two speakers in it. That's what she looks like under the hood. It's probably one of the hardest planes going to be to mount his V4 system because the card is just a little bit bigger than the original first three versions, but it is the exact width of this fuselage cutout, and it will sit down in there as long as you've got everything up forward. You'll notice I've got my 8-channel receiver poked all the way up here forward. Batteries right here. The wiring, I'm going to lift this up since I don't have it velcroed down. I hollowed out, there used to be just a little slot right here for the wires to come through, and I made this big open hole a little wider a little bit, which kind of weakens the fuselage. This plane is really weak in the fuselage when the wing's not attached to it, so that I could tuck all the wiring down in order to get this down in there, because this thing sits real close up tight here. And the speaker wire, still got to secure some of my wiring, and I had to modify the bottom of the hatch almost where it's paper thin and poking through on the other side before I stop grinding. That's very thin right there, and a relief from my battery wire right here. This wire relief right here I cut out there, and this right there is the relief for the servos that are sticking up right here so that you can actually get the hatch on and get everything closed up. It is, like I said, it is a tight fit. Got to make sure that all the battery leads are tucked down in there. And then you can get it on. Now then, something we brought up earlier is, you'll notice that on my output leads here, and I did on mine, this is just my custom choice here. Andrew has Molex connectors on it that are actually really nice, but because all my other speaker setups are on JST, these red JST connectors, I took off these two white Molexes and soldered on female JST connectors so I can plug my speakers into it, because this unit moves from plane to plane. And everything's universal, so I can just plug it in. It's a real quick change out. But I put on chokes on each one of these, which kind of takes up some room. These are the only two that I had right now. I'm looking for some smaller ones on here to help take up some of the RF interference that we were experiencing in the long leads coming off of the speakers. This ones aren't so long, but I went ahead and had them on there anyway, so instead of actually putting the choke on the speaker, I put the choke on the lead coming off of here, which is closest to the board on there, but it takes up a little room here. But anyway, nice fit. Now I've got the Stuka ready to go, and that's what she looks like. We'll fire her up one more time here for you and let you hear her again. Let me step back here. It coordinates real nice with the sink down. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll be doing some more later, and looking forward to getting this one to the airfield and making another video of it up in the air with this beautiful sound.